They questioned her identity, until the halcyon itself revealed the truth. A woman appears on deck, unregistered, just unknown, and yet the ship moves as if she commands it. Every turret, every hatch, every system obeys her instinct. Boarding soldiers freeze. Enemy ships fire, but the steel bends around her. She doesn't fight the ship. The ship fights with her. Who is she? Really? Asked. The USS Halcyon moved through the early dawn haze like a ghost of steel and power. A calm sea stretched endlessly around it, but the tension on deck was anything but calm. Sailors whispered in low voices, glancing toward the woman standing alone near the forward rail. She had appeared only hours earlier, unannounced, unregistered, and unsettlingly composed. Her name, at least the one she gave, was Maren Cole. She wore a simple dark jacket, no insignia, no clearance badge, nothing that explained why a top-tier Navy destroyer seemed to react to her presence, as if she were part of its command structure. Hatches opened just before she reached them. Status lights shifted when she passed, even the Halcyon's stabilizers adjusted subtly, aligning with her movements, like the ship anticipated her steps. Lieutenant Hale watched her from the upper deck, arms crossed, suspicion tightening his jaw. "Sir," he said quietly, "the systems are doing it again." She walks, and the Halcyon reacts. That's not coincidence. Captain Rowan Briggs didn't look away from the woman. "I know," he said, "and until we know who she is, keep every eye on her, but no one confronts her without my order." A gust of cold air rolled across the deck as a shadowed line of vessels appeared in the distance. Unknown ships, dark and angular, gliding through the fog with predatory intent. Briggs narrowed his eyes. "Battle stations!" Alarms wailed. Crew members rushed into position, but Maren didn't move. She placed her fingertips on the steel rail, her expression unreadable. The Halcyon hummed beneath her. Low-ter. Almost instinctive, like a creature waking. Then Hale stepped forward, unable to contain his frustration. "You," he called out. "Who exactly are you? Because this ship responds to you like—" He stopped mid-sentence. The ocean erupted as a warning shot exploded mere meters ahead of the bow. Water surged onto the deck, and sailors braced themselves, gripping the rails. Maren didn't even blink. Ramos, the chief engineer, rushed onto the deck, breathless. "Captain, the enemy ships. No signatures, no ID codes. They're not responding to hails." Briggs' voice hardened. "Full defense posture. Prepare for possible boarding." But before the order fully echoed across the ship, the Halcyon shifted, smoothly, deliberately, angling its hull in a pattern no human officer had commanded. The stabilizers realigned, turrets recalibrated. Alerts silenced one by one, as if the ship already knew what was coming. Hale stared downward. "Captain, we didn't issue that adjustment." Briggs exhaled slowly. "She did." All eyes turned to Maren, or rather, to the way the ship seemed to bend itself around her presence. Another hostile vessel emerged from the fog, cutting across the Halcyon's path. Its floodlights snapped on. Lines of armed soldiers stood ready along its deck, grappling systems primed. Maren lifted her head slightly. The Halcyon responded instantly, the deck vibrating as though recognizing a command she never spoke. Every turret angled toward the unknown threat. Railings locked. Auxiliary shields deployed. The crew stood frozen. Ramos whispered, "How is she doing this?" But Maren only stepped forward, her boots meeting the steel with quiet authority. She paused at the bow, her gaze fixed on the enemy vessel as its soldiers fired their grappling anchors. Metal claws snapped onto the Halcyon's railings, ropes tightening under the strain. Sailors rushed to cut them free, but Briggs lifted a hand. "Stand down," he muttered. He didn't know why he said it. only that something in Marin's stillness made him hesitate. The first wave of enemy soldiers swung across the gap, boots hitting the deck in a rush of chaos. Shouts erupted, weapons raised, the air filled with the harsh echoes of boarding steel. But Marin moved first, her body blurred, fast, precise, impossibly controlled. She intercepted the first attacker with a palm strike that sent him sliding across the deck. Another raised his rifle, but the Halcyon shifted under him, tilting just enough to throw his aim off. Marin stepped past him and swept his legs out from beneath him. Hale watched, stunned. She's not reacting to the ship. The ship is reacting to her. It was as if every vibration, every tilt of the hull aligned with her movements. The Halcyon acted as her partner, anticipating threats before they came. Deck panels locked under enemy boots, trapping them. Railings adjusted to redirect their footing. Even the wind seemed to move with her. More soldiers boarded, forming a semicircle around her. Marin didn't flinch. She placed her hand on the deck, and the Halcyon pulsed beneath her like a heartbeat. Panels shifted under the attacker's feet, throwing them off balance. She moved through them like a force they couldn't anticipate, redirecting blows, disarming rifles, never wasting a movement. Ramos whispered to Hale, "This isn't combat. This is synchronization." Then something changed. A shadow flickered across Marin's face, something like recognition or memory. It vanished as quickly as it surfaced, replaced by her calm, unreadable focus. Hale narrowed his eyes. "Sir." She's not surprised by any of this. It's like she's been here before. Briggs swallowed hard. "Find her identity. Go into the classified archives if you have to. I want answers." Ramos hesitated. "Sir, that level of clearance isn't allowed without authorization from—" "Do it!" Briggs snapped. "This isn't normal. I want to know who we brought aboard." Ramos darted inside. The battle intensified outside as the enemy regrouped, preparing another surge. Marin stood her ground, her eyes locked on the next wave of attackers. The Halcyon vibrated once, deep, resonant, like it was bracing itself around her. But inside the ship, Ramos's search screens flickered one by one as locked files began opening. Unauthorized, redacted, restricted. Then a warning flashed. Accessing classified personnel file. Level black identity cross-match found. Subject, Marin Cole. Status, sealed since commission origin. Authorization, overridden. Ramos froze. What is this? A final line appeared. Subject connected to Project Halcyon, built into the ship's core. Synergetic prototype. Record sealed from all naval command. Ramos stumbled back, pulse racing. Outside, Marin turned sharply, like she felt something awakening inside the ship. The Halcyon's lights flickered, its engines hummed, and something deep within its systems pulsed in recognition. Ramos whispered, "Oh my God. Captain, she's not a stranger. She's part of why this ship exists." Before he could say more, an alarm blared. A massive hostile vessel emerged through the fog, larger than any they'd seen before, its guns locked onto the Halcyon. Marin slowly lifted her head, and the ship responded. The deck vibrated under the crew's feet, bracing, waiting. She whispered something no one could hear, and the Halcyon moved. The sea itself shifted around them. The enemy prepared to fire. The massive hostile vessel loomed like a predator, its guns glowing ominously through the thick fog. Ropes lashed against the Halcyon's railings, soldiers shouting orders over the roaring wind and the thunderous surf. The deck shuddered with every wave, but Marin remained perfectly still, her gaze fixed on the enemy, as if she could see through steel and water alike. Lieutenant Hale gripped the platform railing, voice barely audible. "Captain, there's too many. If they fire..." They won't get the chance, Maren said softly. The halcyon pulsed beneath her feet, engines thrumming in precise synchronization with her heartbeat. Panels shifted, stabilizers adjusted, turrets swiveled. It was no longer a ship. It was an extension of her will. The first barrage of shells screamed through the storm, aimed directly at the halcyon's bow. Sailors ducked instinctively. Hale froze, eyes wide. Maren lifted a single hand. The halcyon responded instantly. Its massive steel hull twisted just enough to let the shells rip through empty water. Explosions erupted harmlessly behind them, steam and spray clouding the deck. Not a single sailor was harmed. Not a single panel was cracked. Hale whispered, disbelief written across his face. She's controlling the ship. With her presence. Rama shook his head slowly, voice trembling. No, the ship is defending her. It always has. Enemy soldiers scrambled across the halcyon's deck, grappling hooks clanging against steel, boots slipping as the hull shifted subtly beneath them. Maren moved with a calm precision that seemed impossible, intercepting attackers with minimal motion. Each step she took was mirrored by the ship. Railings slid to block gunfire. Bulkheads shifted to funnel intruders into dead ends. Floor panels subtly tilted to redirect momentum. One by one the soldiers fell, confused, disoriented, their weapons useless against the synchronized force of Maren and the halcyon. The air itself seemed charged, electric with anticipation. Hale's jaw tightened. She's faster than any marine we've trained for. Faster than any weapon. Ramos barely breathed. It's the ship. It's working with her. The enemy flagship readied another massive volley. Maren stepped to the bow, wind tearing her hair across her face. She placed her hand on the rail. The halcyon's engines roared like a living beast, its bow angled, slicing through the waves toward the enemy ship. The flagship's cannons fired, but the halcyon twisted at the last instant. Water columns exploded harmlessly in its wake. Soldiers tumbled over railings. Guns misfired. Chaos erupted. The halcyon pivoted, sweeping the deck of intruders, turning the tide in seconds. Maren advanced, the deck vibrating beneath her as if it recognized every movement before she made it. She didn't need weapons. The ship was her shield, her strike, her partner. The enemy commander shouted, fury and disbelief mixing in his voice, but his orders fell into a wall of confusion. Every approach the boarding teams tried was anticipated, neutralized, rerouted. The halcyon itself seemed alive, acting with intelligence, precision, and loyalty, only to Maren. Finally, the enemy flagship attempted a close-range ram. Maren raised her hand. The halcyon surged forward, engines screaming. Waves erupted under the hull, tilting the enemy vessel violently. Soldiers toppled into the sea, weapons tearing from their grasp. The flagship's main guns misfired under stress, detonating inside its own compartments. Flame and smoke billowed, the hull buckling as metal groaned and collapsed. Silence settled over the water. The surviving enemy soldiers froze, staring at the wreckage in disbelief. Slowly, one by one, they raised their hands in surrender, their assault broken by a single woman and a ship attuned to her will. Maren exhaled softly, lowering her hand. The halcyon settled, its engines humming steadily, calm once more. Crew members looked at her in awe, realizing fully that she had not just defended the ship, she had become its master. Hale approached cautiously. Maren, how? How did you do all of this? She looked out over the sea, calm, resolute. The halcyon was never meant to obey orders. It was built to protect the one it trusts. And that's you? Hale whispered. Maren's faint smile reflected the first light of dawn breaking through the storm clouds. It always has been. Lightning flashed across the horizon. the enemy scattered into the mist. The Halcyon, immense and resolute, sailed forward like a sentinel, guided by the woman who alone could command it. The crew watched silently, understanding the truth at last. She wasn't just defending the ship. She was the ship. The sea, the steel, and the storm answered to her, and the world would never question it again.